parks, schools, restaurants, and more, Assembly Row gets high scores. We're a thriving city with so much to do. Uncle Boston Harbor in our view. Politics, cannabis, controversial stories, heroes, villains, who gets the glory? 50 plus languages in Somerville is spoken. Sanctuary city, there are no free tokens. History in Somerville stays alive. In All American City, we won 3 times. Somerville connects. Somerville connects. Welcome to another edition of Dead Air Live, the longest live-running TV show in America and audio podcast Somerville Connects. Today we have the beautiful Talia Abrams Kudan, who is a commercial realtor with ABG Realty in Cambridge. And I recently met Talia at a BNI Zoom. So welcome, Talia.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, JoJo. I'm excited to be here today.
So Talia, our listeners, viewers, we don't know a whole lot about you. I want to learn about you. I believe you're from Massachusetts, Arlington, Massachusetts. And just take us a little journey. Give us some highlights of your life and what has led up to you being at ABG Realty.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me today, JoJo. Really excited to be here. I was born in Arlington, but I'm actually a Cambridge girl at heart. Cambridge Ringe and Latin graduate, and the daughter of a French professor and a rabbi. So if that's not unusual, I don't know what is. I got into commercial real estate through, well, it's a little bit of a sad story. My uncle passed away last November, and he has a commercial real estate company in Chicago called the TKUDAN Group. I always looked at him like he was the absolute man, like he knew everybody. He was the mayor, the talk of the town. He wasn't actually the mayor of Chicago, but you would think that he was. And what was so special about him was he was somebody who would help individuals actualize their business goals by developing really strong relationships within the community. And so he used his agency, if you will, to change the city and how it looked. And I really always admired that so much about him. So after he passed, I said, this is something that I've always wanted to do. And I even thought about moving to Chicago and doing everything that I could to help his company. And it just wasn't the right time to leave. I was just beginning my master's program at Suffolk University, my MBA, and it wasn't the right time. So I decided to take some time and think about how I would be able to accomplish that goal in a city that means the absolute world to me in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So that's a little bit of the story.
What a great introduction, but I'm sure that your uncle had a lot of heart and soul as well.
Oh, he absolutely did.
As you do as well, too. I mean, when I first met you, there's something very special about you. You could tell that you genuinely care about people. You could just feel it. As a matter of fact, you are helping our local access TV station in Somerville to find a new home. You're one of the commercial realtors that are keeping an eye out where we're going to plant our new home. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. And I really look forward to doing so. Actually, my first apartment, the first time I ever lived on my own, was in Somerville in a little studio a long time ago. And it was the most exciting place to live because everything was changing, but there was still so much of that old feeling, that old Greater Boston feeling. And really it's becoming an up and coming area, but there's still so much history there. And so I love Somerville and I'm excited to be working with you.
Somerville definitely has a lot of history. So Talia, we are in very interesting times now. We are in the pandemic, COVID-19, and a lot of businesses aren't open because we can't be, because we're not supposed to be in touch with each other. So many people are working from home, which leads me to the next question. Has this affected your business, ABG Realty, in a positive way or a negative way? How does it all play out? Has commercial space gone up, gone down? Is there more availability? Take us through a little bit of that as well.
Sure. Well, I think, the answer to that question is there's change all around. I think the pandemic has resulted in change in every industry and every sector. I think when it comes to specific sectors, there's definitely a need for more industrial space, more storage space. I think for retail, you can't, if you've been out recently, you've probably noticed that there's space available signs everywhere for retail spaces, and for office spaces as well, which has probably taken the biggest hit. I think particularly when it comes to ABG, we've had a role in helping people to either relocate, resize, come to us for advice on what they should do next, and really kind of helping folks to plan out their next step. And really, we've been involved in the industrial side as well, and that's definitely the most steady area to be in right now. So Cambridge is also full of research and development spaces as well that, that's also a steady and booming industry.
So big office buildings, are those becoming more available or not? Or are they, because I have no idea how, I have no idea how big office spaces are working from home when they've been working from their office. How does that all work?
Well, I think that there's definitely a skeleton crew for each company that does go into the office. However, the office landscape is changing. I mean, they're thinking about not only can we occupy less space in a certain area and kind of reduce our, reduce the amount of staff have to go into the office, and make it, financially more beneficial for those in charge. I think there's definitely a lot of people trying to work from home forever, and it's understandable. So there's a lot of vacancy and there's a lot of rethinking. I think those are the two buzzwords right now.
So your company, ABG Realty, how are you rethinking how you could serve people? Have you come up with new creative ways that people can acquire commercial real estate?
Yeah, I think it's a really good time to be a tenant and to plan out your next step. Working with landlords to help them to get the best deal possible, lock in a quality tenant. That's one side of it. But the other side is for tenants to be thinking, okay, well, if I want to get a space and I want to move into my new space by February, it's a great time to look now because there's a lot of empty space and we can get a good rate. I think if you are considering expanding your business or you are considering, finally having a brick and mortar, it's a good time to do it because you really have the lay of the land, you have the pick of where you want to be. Cambridge has never had so many vacancies. And, from a tenant side, that could be a good thing for you.
So give me a percentage if you can. Mm-hmm. How many businesses have physically closed their doors, commercial businesses in Somerville and Cambridge? Would you say 5 to 10% since the pandemic?
I would say as much as 15, actually. I think, there's been a lot. Yeah. I think, it's one thing to close your business, but it's another thing to figure out how to operate your business online. I've heard of some really creative solutions to that as well. I know someone who operates a catering company, and instead of having Uber Eats, which takes, I think, 10% or so of your profit on that individual sale, they decided to take out the middleman and just have their own app and their own delivery company. sourcing their food. And I think that's a pretty creative solution for them. And I think they've ended up doing pretty well. So they're companies like that, companies that know how to be flexible at this time are benefiting.
Yeah, we all have to be a little bit creative these days. Tell me about ABG Realty. Are you a big firm? How many people work at ABG Realty? How long have you been around? And what kind of services do you personally provide in your company?
Yeah, so ABG has been around since 2006. ABG has 8 agents, and we've been working really, we can work in a team, we can work by ourselves, but we have a lot of flexibility in order to work with businesses to either find their location, decide if they want to expand their location, decide if they want to buy, decide if they want to sell. So there's really a very different approach that you'll get from each team and from each agent. I think that's what makes it so wonderful, because it's a small firm, because we have been in Cambridge for a number of years and have been able to really meet people and develop relationships within the city. That's what's so special. Bigger companies are great, and they know, they have wonderful connections within the city of Boston as well. I think it's a different, more personal connection with a smaller company. And we know what small businesses need. We know where the best locations are for them to be and prosper and grow their business.
Why? What would you say to folks about wanting to work with you? Why would someone want to work with Talia Abrams Kudan?
I can say that I really appreciate when people have a dream and they want to grow their business from the ground up. I know what it's like to be underestimated sometimes or feel like you're the underdog. And I think having somebody who has a vision and can listen to your vision and help you actualize it, I think that's really special. And you often don't find that in the business world. I think, the one thing that Tony Scelzi always preaches to us is developing relationships is the way to build your business. And I think that really transcends to the way that I like to operate and work with others.
Anyone that gets to work with you, they are so blessed, because you have a lot of heart and soul. And that is what it takes. One of the reasons why Apple is so successful is because they genuinely care about their customers. And when somebody genuinely cares about the people that they work with, they elevate everything that they do, because it is about personal relationships. Mm-hmm. Because in the end, money, it's just a vehicle, but relationships is what matters, which is why you're in B&I. You are going to be so successful in what you do. And Tony Scelzi is so lucky to have you on her team. I'll tell you right now, very, very, very lucky.
Thank you.
So what would you like to leave us with before we say good night, goodbye?
I think I'd like to leave you with 2 things. One is that, out of dark and difficult times during this pandemic, I'm sure there's been a lot of difficulty for many, many people. Out of darkness comes the light. I think, it's a time to reflect, a time to think about your next step forward, whether it's personal or professional or both. And I think one of my other favorite quotes from Pablo Neruda is that every mind is its own world. I think it's really important to realize that each individual has something unique to offer. And if you are feeling entrepreneurial and you have great ideas, don't be afraid to go for them and make it possible, make it happen.
Folks, if you want to dream big and you need a commercial space, definitely, unequivocally, you want to check out Talia Abrams Kudan with ABG Realty. Is it abgrealty.com?
Yes, it is. That's right.
ABG, A as in apple, B as in boy, and G as in good. abgrealty.com. Check out Talia Abrams Kudan. And thank you so much, folks, for joining us for another edition of Dead Air Live and Somerville Connects. Bye for now. Thank you, Talia.
Thanks so much, JoJo.
Somerville Connects. Somerville Connects.